Finally, 3 years later. You guys are so patient today. Yay. Okay, so we know that the parallel lines are the same and perpendicular lines are opposite reciprocals. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this 3 years later. What is the equation of the line that is parallel to that line? So parallel, I'm going to go ahead and underline parallel so that I remember what that means. What does parallel mean? Same slopes. So I'm going to put a little note, same slopes. Same slopes as this, correct? So I need something that has the same slope as that. So what is the slope of this? Does this look like y equals mx plus b? Yeah. So where's my slope? It is right here. So this right here is my m, and so I know m is 1/2. So I know that my new line that I want to make is going to have a slope of 1/2. And like was mentioned already, we're probably going to have a different b. Otherwise, we're going to land right on top of it, and that won't be parallel. Okay, but we do know it passes through this point, -7, 4. Passes through -7, 4. I'm going to show you how to do it in Desmos, and I'm going to show you how to do it by hand. Because if you're somebody who's going to be taking like the ACT next year or the year after, there's a non-calculator portion where you will have to do it by hand. If that's not on the table for you, then you will be able to still use Desmos for your OSD. Okay, so let's first show you how to do this in Desmos. Okay, so we have Desmos. Does anyone remember where to put the point in Desmos? Where do you put the point in Desmos? In the little table. In the table. Okay, so we're going to go to Desmos. And we're going to, how do we open a table? What do we hit? You hit the plus, bam. You open a table, bam. Everyone has the table open. Your table, if it's the very first table you have up on the screen, it should say X1, Y1. If you have more tables up there, it might say 2s or 3s or 4s, depending if you got a lot of stuff going on. Okay? Keep that in mind, though. So let's put our point in there. What was the point we had? -7, 4? -7, 4. Okay, everyone has their point in there. Stay with me. Stay with me. Okay, now remember last year, if you had 2 points, you could put them both in the table, put your secret formula in, and you can get your M and your B, right? Now the problem is we only have 1 point, correct? Okay, so we can't put another point in, so we're going to drop down to the next row. So not in the table, in a whole brand new row. Click there. We're going to put our secret formula. Who remembers our secret formula? Y, 1, squiggly, tilde, mx1 plus b. Okay, ready, Y. Remember, if you type the 1, it drops it down low for you. We use tilde, which is up on the top left of your keyboard. Shift, tilde, squiggly. Y1, tilde, m, x, 1, plus, b. Okay, when you type that in, y1, tilde, mx1 plus b, remember the 1s will automatically drop down low for you so that you can, don't have to worry about doing subscripts. If you type it in wrong, you will get the little triangle right here, the little danger sign. So if you get the danger sign, get it out of there, just delete it, and retype it in again, okay? Oh. Sometimes weird things happen, like it might type a capital Y instead of a lowercase y, which will give you the danger sign. So if you get the danger, don't say I typed it in right because you didn't. So delete it and type it in right, okay? So it's in there. Now here's the deal. It's not going to be able to tell me what my B value is because I've only put 1 piece of information in this computer so far. The only piece of information I put in was that 1 single point. And if I give you one single point out in the sky, you don't know how to draw a line from that. Because if it's out in the sky, it could be going this way, or that way, or that way, or that way. So you need a second piece of information. If you have 2 points, then you're good to go. The other information we do have, though, read our problem. What is the other piece of information we have? We already have that in. What's the other piece of information we have? What? We have the slope being 1/2, right? Okay, so where does slope go in our equation? What is slope? It's the m. So go right into your equation where you typed in this m. You see where I am? Get this m, and you're going to sub in 1/2 into that spot. How do we do fractions on Desmos? The slash. Okay, so I'm just going to substitute in my m because I know it. And now, I should be able to get my b now. You see the b right at the bottom? 7.5. Raise your hand if you don't have a 7.5 down here, and we will troubleshoot. Just put a 1/2 in there. Do 1 slash. Good. Okay, everyone else have it? Brewer, do you have it? Nope. Put your point in there. What was your point? You gotta put the whole point in your table up there. We'll just X it out and restart. Because what's happening is your formula, if you're doing it, you have to get the formula out too. Because you gotta have the table in first, and then the formula under, because the formula will pull from your table. Okay, and you should have typed in y1 mx1 plus okay, so now you're fine. And now go in and take your m, put in 1/2 of this. I don't know why it would go away. I'll check it after we move on to the next one. We'll actually do it on the next one and see if it still does it when we do the new one. Close the that tab and just reopen. Okay, so we have 7.5 as our B. So go to your back to your foldable and let's write down that B. Don't hog up a whole bunch of space because we're going to do it by hand too. So we got B is 7.5, correct? Okay, so now that we have M and B, can we write the equation of this line? Can we write y equals mx plus b? We plug in our m and our b. Okay, what's our equation of this line? Y equals 1/2 x plus 7.5. This is the equation of the line that should be parallel to this line and also passes through this point on the graph. After you write it, if you want to check it, put in your 2 equations. Put in this equation, put in this equation, and see if it actually goes through that point. And that's how you would check to see if you're good. Is it working? Did you check it? So if you type in both of these green equations, they should be parallel, and this one right here should be going through that point. We are correct. It does work. Okay. Now, scoot your Desmos away from me for a minute. I'm going to show you how to do it by hand. Okay, by hand. You don't have to put your laptop away because we're going to use it again for this next one. Let's show you how to do it by hand. You're going to have to write kind of small because you're going to have to do a little bit of algebra. Okay, so there's a formula. It's called point-slope form. So what we have been doing is slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form gives you, if you have a slope and an intercept, then you can plug it in and it's good to go, right? Now point-slope form is when you have a point and a slope. Point-slope form looks like this. Here's your formula. Y minus y1 equals m times the quantity of x minus x1. And that's an equation you just have to memorize. You will use it in later math classes. No sleeping time. So here's your formula. Y minus y1 equals m times the quantity, parentheses, x minus x1. So all you have to do is plug in your stuff. Now remember, just like when you had y equals mx plus b, do you notice how the x is still there and the y is still there? You didn't plug anything in those spots, right? Same thing goes on this equation. You do not put anything in the x spot. You do not put anything in the y spot. The x1 and the y1 are this guy right here. So this is my x1 and our y1. And you already know who m is. He's over here. Okay? So we're just going to plug in the m and these two, x1, y1, into this equation. Okay, I'm going to, no, not on Desmos. This is by hand. Okay, ready? So y stays the same, minus, what's y1? 4. All I'm doing is plugging in. I'm not going to do any math yet. Equals. M is what? 1/2. I got a parentheses. X, you don't do anything. Leave him there. Minus -7. So this looks weird right this minute, but it is a minus negative, right? And I know in a second that's going to change to a plus, right? Because minus -7 really means x plus 7. You can keep that in your head. Okay, now all I have to do is simplify this and move stuff around so he looks like y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to start by distributing. So what am I going to have when I distribute 1/2 to x? 1/2 x. Now let's think of this as a positive 7. 1/2 times positive 7, which is basically 1/2 of 7, 3.5. So this is plus 3.5. I fixed my minus negative to plus. On the other side, I still just have y minus 4. All I'm doing is some simple algebra. Okay, now does this look like y equals mx plus b yet? What's got to go? Got minus 4, so that means I do plus 4 on both sides. Put him under his bestie over here. Who's his bestie? This 3.5. Okay, so I'm going to end up with y on this side equals 1/2 x plus 7.5, which is exactly what I got in Desmos. So you don't actually need Desmos. If you just know this formula, you can just do it by hand instead of pulling out Desmos. Totally up to you. Now when you do your tests, you have Desmos access, but no one says you have to use it. When you take an ACT non-calculator portion and they put this on, you don't have Desmos, so you have no option but to have this formula memorized if you want to get that question right. Okay? All right, let's go ahead to the next one. Same thing, we'll do this one on Desmos, and then we'll also do it by hand, so that way we practice. All right, so what is the equation of the line that is perpendicular to the line M and passes through this point? So perpendicular means what? Opposite reciprocal. Okay, so I need to obviously find the slope of this picture. Okay, so everyone look at the picture and find me the slope of this blue line. Okay, so I'm hearing that the slope might be 2 over 2, which simplifies to what? 1. So the slope of this graph is 1. Maybe you got 2 over 2, maybe you got 4 over 4, but if you rise and run, it's the same number over the same number, right? So the slope of this is 1. We need the opposite reciprocal of that. So what's our new slope going to be? Opposite reciprocal is going to be -1, because if you flip him upside down and change his sign, he just becomes -1. Okay, so we have our old slope. We have our new slope because it said perpendicular, right? Yeah. Good up to there? And they gave us a point. So it looks like we have a point, and it looks like we have a slope, which means we can go to Desmos and put those in. So go ahead and go to Desmos, put this information in.
Now, and
Okay, so you popped open a table. Bam. And what point did you put in there? 1, -4. Okay, and then you went underneath here and you typed in your formula. Y1 tilde mx1 plus b. I say to type that in because if you look over here, do you see how a line is showing up on my graph and I don't have an error symbol right here, correct? If you have an error or there's no line showing up on your graph, then something is messed up. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to put my m in because I know it, which is -1. And then should show up down here my b value. Is everyone getting a -3 down there? -3? Yeah? Okay, so I'm going to go back to my foldable, and I'm going to write down my b value. Okay, my b is -3. Okay, so now that I know my m and my b, go ahead, write your equation of your new line. Yeah, so it should be y equals -1x, or just -x, right? -3. Are you guys cool with that? So this is the equation of my line. Remember, you can check it even on this graph right here. Because if this says that my y-intercept is -3. So that means if I were to manually graph this, I'm going to go to -3 on my graph. Boom. And then my slope is -1. So that means rise -1 to the right 1. Rise negative. So it's going to look like that, right? Which would make my line look like this, which sure does look perpendicular, right? You can even type this into Desmos to see if you think it would be, but you don't have the other one in Desmos, so it's not that easy to check. Okay. Cool on Desmos? Okay, let's go ahead and do this one by hand. Okay, by hand, what's my formula? Y minus y1 equals m times the quantity of x minus x1. Okay. There's my formula in black. Remember, you're going to plug in your points into the little 1 spots. Okay, so plugging in, what do we have? Y stays there, minus, who's y1? -4, so it's a y minus -4, which we know is going to be really a +4. M is what? -1, parentheses, x minus 1. Okay. All I did was plug in. You shouldn't be on your laptop now. You should be doing this problem. We got to distribute I'm going to clean this up and just say y plus 4 on the left-hand side. You cool with that? Distributing -1, what do I get? -1x. -1 times -1 plus 1. And he looks almost like y equals mx plus b, except I got to scoot this 4 over, -4 on this side, -4 on his bestie over here. So I'm going to have y is equal to -1x plus -3, right? Which is what I got on Desmos. And I don't think the formula takes a long time either. I mean, you got to know the formula. That's the only thing. Okay, one more. Okay, so this actually is an OST release question. Which means this is a question they have put on the OST in the past. Okay, so this is actually not a hard problem, but you have to focus. You have to focus and just think for a second. Okay, so it says rectangle ABCD. Now, just so you know, when you name a rectangle, just like when we named an angle, you have to name it in order. It doesn't matter if you go clockwise or counterclockwise or where you start, but you can't be all zigzaggy around. So if I have a rectangle, I can name it like A, B, C, D. Or I could be like A, B, C, D. I cannot be like A, B, C. That is not in order. Does that make sense? Okay. So they have somehow gone around clockwise or counterclockwise to name this rectangle. Vertices are at B at 0, 1. So 0, 1 is bam, right there. Okay, that's my B. It says C is at 6, -3. So C is at 6, -3. So that means I need to go to the right 6 and down 3. To the right 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down 1, 2, 3. So this is my C. Okay, so I'm going to draw this. He is one of the sides of my rectangle, because if I named him in order A, B, C, D, they have to make one of the sides, right? He is a side of my rectangle. Where could my rectangle be? It could be under, so it could be right here, right? Or it could be up here. Now, we don't know if he's big, skinny, fat. We don't know anything. But we know he has to be here or here, okay? So look at either one, because you're going to get the same answer, whichever one you look at. So would we like to look at the pink guy or the orange guy? Orange. Okay, everyone's looking at the orange guy. Okay, so basically this is my orange guy, right? So we wanted to know what the slope of side AB is. Okay, now we need to get some letters. What does this, if I'm looking at the orange guy, what letter has to go there? A. And that means D has to be here, because then it'll be in order of A, B, C, D, okay? Now, we want to know the slope of side AB. I'm going to do that one in green. AB is right here. We want to know the slope of this guy. Now, we don't know how big he is, so we really don't know his rise and run. But we do know something about the gray side. What's the slope of the gray side? What's the slope of the gray side? It's definitely downhill. Negative what? Negative? Did you count it? What's your slope of your gray side? She should not be the only one. What? Good thing you have it on your paper. What? 1, 2, 3,
Wait,
4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's negative 4 over 6, which simplifies to negative 2 over 3. Okay, that is the slope of that side, correct? Negative 2/3. Okay, so tell me what the slope of the green side has to be then. Is it the same? Is it perpendicular? What is it? Is this green side parallel to the to the gray side, or is it perpendicular to it? It's perpendicular to it. So since this is perpendicular, because it is a rectangle, so that's perpendicular, which means the slope of this side has to be the opposite reciprocal. What's the opposite reciprocal of that? 3 over 2. So the slope of side B has to be that. Side AB. This is being glued on page 24. Okay, now remember, you guys are a day behind. You are gluing on page 24. Glue right now. You got 2 minutes. Page 24. If you have time, well, on page 25, we kind of want to add some notes about how to use Desmo so you don't forget. I have a bunch of practice problems on this paper that I'm going to let you take so you can try some of them. Because remember, you guys are a day behind everybody else because you missed class. Because yesterday you didn't have class. And the afternoon did have class. So even if they skipped giving you third period, you still have to do interim. They're not going to move your interim tests and all of that stuff because of that.
Why can't we just like leave school after testing?
Yeah, I would like that too. I'm going to put this right here. So you can grab it on your way out. You don't have to work on it tonight. But like I said, you're going to have to work at it sometime.
Wait, it didn't even get glue on it. You should give